All construction sites are different. Whether it's a commercial site or residential site, each has its unique aspects. Except for two things that should always be the same: the need for cooperation between everyone and basic safety elements, and how you practice them, along with the standard safety elements that all of us should practice. Each individual trade has its own set of safety measures it needs to be aware of. Safety needs to be practiced in all phases of concrete construction, starting with the ready-mix producer and moving right on to the contractor and the job site. But what are these safety elements that you need to recognize and address? Well, it all starts with a phone call.
Hi, this is Steve. I'd like to place an order of 180 yards for delivery tomorrow.
Hi, Steve. 180 yards? Okay. Where's it going to?
This phone call is so important because early notification of contractor needs allows the supplier to manage people, materials, and equipment so that the job is done efficiently and safely. When placing this call, your discussion should include the yardage and the mix design needed. From this conversation, the dispatcher will find out the slump and determine setting characteristics. Next, you'll want to talk about job location. Based on the distance to the job and placement methods, the ready-mix supplier can figure how many trucks would be needed to supply the job, the directions to the location, as well as how and where to enter the job site. Finally, the contractor should specify to the ready-mix company any additional personal protective equipment or PPE requirements at this time, in addition to the standard PPE, which includes hard hats, safety glasses, gloves, and boots. Remember, a material safety data sheet, or MSDS, should be made available at the site or sent to the end user in advance of the delivery so they can understand the hazards associated with concrete and take steps to protect themselves and others. Once the order is placed, it's important that the dispatcher discuss the delivery with the plant manager. The dispatcher and the plant manager discuss such things as the materials they need to order for the next day delivery, the driver's starting time, proper spacing of the ready-mix trucks so they can keep traffic at the job site to a minimum, and specific job site hazards the contractor may have made the dispatcher aware of. When it's time to fulfill the order, the need for safety now moves on to the driver. The ready-mix driver should always start by inspecting his or her equipment to make sure he can properly and safely provide service to the contractor on the job site. Once this is done, it's time to move on to the job site. Whether you are a small or large contractor, once on the job site, everyone involved needs to cooperate and be aware of the elements for a safer working environment. One way to do this is by pre-planning for the efficient and safe delivery and placement of the concrete. This pre-planning starts by everyone using appropriate personal protective equipment on the job. All operations around construction sites require the use of this equipment. Such items as hard hats, safety glasses, safety vests, hearing protection, proper clothing, appropriate work boots and gloves should be worn. In addition to this protective gear, it is important to assess the job site for additional safety concerns. Concerns such as site security. Non-essential personnel or pedestrian traffic should be restricted from entering the area. Overhead power lines. Contact with overhead power lines is one of the most frequent causes of construction-related death. So it's important to ensure that vehicle placement will be clear of all power lines. You should follow the OSHA safe distance guidelines. When driving under an overhead power line, a minimum clearance of 4 feet is required, and when operating, at least 10 feet is required. These minimum distances increase as the voltage increases over 50 kilovolts. Ground conditions. The ground at the job site should be inspected to ensure that it is stable and that any uneven ground does not present a tip-over hazard for the truck. Check to see if the ground is adequate enough to support the weight of the truck. And check the slope. If the slope is too steep, the truck's center of gravity changes and the truck could tip over or slide. Remember that a concrete truck contains a liquid load with a high center of gravity, and the weight can be more than 30 tons. In comparison, a typical Bobcat weighs only 3 tons. Access. A typical concrete truck needs an access route at least 10 feet wide. Driving routes should not be over underground structures, tanks, vaults, septic systems, or backfilled trenches. Ensure that adequate trench plates are provided for crossing with the truck. If a trench plate is needed, it must be 20 inches in width and extend 24 inches past each side of the excavation or trench. It must be designed by and installed under the supervision of a registered professional engineer. Crossing trenches perpendicular is recommended. Adequate turning radius. You need a turning radius at least 60 feet in diameter. Anything less requires the truck to back in and increases the risk for accidents. Spotters. Arrangements should be made for a spotter to back the truck in and guide it out. And a discussion should take place about the limitations of the ready-mix driver on the job site in terms of blind spots and his overall inability to see. Also, some common hand signals that will be used on the job site should be agreed upon. Truck placement. Attention needs to be paid to truck placement in order to ensure everyone's safety. When approaching an excavation site, it is safer to have the driver back up and park perpendicular to the hole. The truck should stay at least 1 foot away from the excavation for each foot of depth to better protect people and to avoid a disaster. Washout. Be sure the person in charge identifies an adequate and accessible washout location. Multi-truck staging. When adequate site space for multi-truck parking is not available, traffic control, spotters, and off-site staging locations must be provided. If you practice pre-planning at the job site when the ready mix arrives, many safety concerns are already addressed. As a ready-mix driver, you should arrive early to the job site for a walk-around with the contractor to discuss job site hazards. Special attention should be paid to beyond-the-curb type exposures, such as open excavations, backfilled areas, overhead wires, and underground exposures. When approaching the designated site, ensure that no personnel are around or under the load. Slow down the drum speed or stop it entirely in order to stabilize the load. Make turns slowly to avoid tipping the truck from uneven weight distribution. A yard of concrete weighs approximately 4,000 pounds. If you have a booster load truck carrying 9 yards of concrete, the load weighs 36,000 pounds. When the tag axle is raised, the weight on the back tandems increases by 12,000 pounds to 44,000 pounds. And the stability of the truck is reduced because the wheelbase has been shortened by over 6 feet. When the load discharge begins, the weight transfers from the left side of the truck to the right. Even on level ground, this could result in a rollover. The ready-mix driver should always set up the chutes, and when the truck is moving, the chutes must be locked in place to prevent swinging. When discharging the mix, everyone should handle the chutes with extra care to avoid accidents. When the chute is full of concrete, The weight of the chute is tremendous and can cause serious injury. One of the major hazards associated with concrete delivery is being struck by or caught between the chute and a stationary object. No one should stand on the chute at any point or swing on the chute for any reason. When it's time to leave, make provisions to handle trucks leaving the site. Merging from or into traffic lanes presents a hazard because of variable speeds of travel. Heavy, slow-moving ready-mix trucks can create traffic flow problems that could result in accidents. Be sure you know where the correct washout site is and that you only wash the truck in that location. The nature of construction sites is such that heavy equipment can easily become stuck. Because of its weight, when a ready-mix truck is stuck, it requires special attention to dislodge it. Whenever possible, employ a professional towing company to tow the truck to solid ground. If the decision is to dislodge the truck using on-site equipment, there are several factors to consider ensuring safety. Cables and vehicles can cause death or injury if improperly used, so exercise extreme caution when dislodging a truck stuck on site. When on the site, there are various methods of delivery, each of which require special safety efforts. Let's take a look at some of these delivery methods. Buggies. Avoid standing or walking in front of powered concrete buggies. Make sure there is adequate clearance between the buggy and a stationary object. Also, be aware of tipping hazards on slopes. The buggies are gas-operated and may present a carbon monoxide hazard if used in a confined or enclosed space. Conveyors and pumps. To prevent tipping, the conveyor or pump truck should be level to within 3 degrees. Always use the outriggers. Most manufacturers recommend fully extended outriggers. Maintain safe distance between equipment and electrical lines. The American Concrete Pumping Association recommends that pumps be placed at least 17 feet away from all power lines. OSHA requires 10 feet. Pumps require extra clearance because of the boom's movement during pumping operations. Electrocution is the leading cause of pump-related deaths. Do not allow the hopper to go empty at any time during the pour. Allowing air into the pump or line could result in material being expelled under high pressure. Everyone at the job site should know where the emergency stop is located. Do not place yourself between the conveyor or concrete pump or its parts and a stationary object. Caution needs to be taken when in close proximity of the pump hose, not to be struck by the quick movement of the hose by the operator. No one is to stand on the hopper grate at any point for any reason. This is known as the no-point rule. Do not stand on the hopper. Buckets. Do not place yourself under a suspended load. Use hand signals to control the operator or voice commands from a radio or hard line. Keep all unnecessary personnel out of the path of the bucket. Provide and require the use of fall protection when working over 6 feet or when working from a raised platform. Slick lines. Standpipe or slick line pumping is used to deliver concrete to the placing boom in high-rise construction. Secure the standpipe or slick line to the building to prevent movement as it is under extremely high pressure. Unauthorized personnel should not be allowed within the work area. Maintain direct communication between concrete placement and the operator. All the normal pump and conveyor safety practices apply. So there you have it. As you can see, safety needs to be practiced in all phases of concrete construction. It starts with cooperation between everyone and moves down the line. So whether your job is big or small, residential or commercial. If you are a ready-mix producer, a driver, a contractor, or if you perform a trade on the job site. It is everyone's responsibility to practice safety, and that practice should start today. Information provided in this video was developed in a cooperative effort between the Illinois Ready Mix Concrete Association, the Concrete Contractors Association of Greater Chicago, and the Illinois On-Site Safety and Health Consultation Program, DCCA. By following the work practices demonstrated in this video, along with management's commitment to assure a safe workplace, you can help eliminate accidents. This will help you and your fellow employees stay injury-free. In addition to videos like this one, we offer no-cost safety and industrial hygiene services to any requesting Illinois employer. This program is funded 90% by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA. The purpose of our program is to help make your workplace safer by identifying and offering solutions to correct hazards. For more information, call 1-800-972-4216.